Imagine waking up one morning, turning on the news, and hearing that all of Antarctica's ice has melted. Not just a little, not over centuries, all of it, all at once, in just a few minutes. Welcome to a global catastrophe unfolding at lightning speed. Today, we'll witness how Earth would change forever if all Antarctic ice suddenly vanished. Antarctica, the frozen continent surrounding the South Pole, is 40% larger than Europe. 98% of its surface is buried under ice. This isn't just any ice. It holds about 90% of the world's ice volume and 60% of all fresh water on the planet. If that ice were to suddenly melt, it wouldn't just flood coastlines, it would disrupt climate systems, ocean chemistry, and even the Earth's axis of rotation. Meet Thwaites Glacier, nicknamed the Doomsday Glacier. It's roughly the size of Florida and is melting at an alarming rate, 50 billion tons per year. It's already responsible for 4% of global sea level rise. But let's not wait for centuries. Imagine this glacier melting entirely, instantly. Water pours into the Southern Ocean, flooding into the Indian, Atlantic, and Pacific Oceans. Global sea levels rise by 60 centimeters. San Francisco is flooded. Miami and New Orleans start resembling anxious versions of Venice. Why the sudden collapse? Because beneath the ice lies a vast network of rivers, warmed by geothermal energy from Earth's molten interior. These rivers carry heat that undermines the ice from below, speeding up the melting process. Recent studies even suggest that volcanic activity beneath West Antarctica may be far more widespread than we previously thought. Once those hidden rivers start to flow, they break the ice from below, triggering a chain reaction. Ice begins collapsing like dominoes. And as the ice retreats, we uncover a terrifying treasure trove. Trapped beneath kilometers of frozen silence are ancient bacteria and viruses. Some haven't seen the light of day for millions of years. Our modern immune systems have never encountered them, and we're not prepared. Some of these pathogens might cause high fevers, seizures, even death, with no cure. Scientists have revived microbes from 30,000-year-old ice cores. Now imagine unlocking the entire frozen archive. Worse still, melting permafrost can also release ancient antibiotic-resistant genes, which may pass to modern bacteria, creating new superbugs in our ecosystems. Some bacteria found in Antarctic lakes have shown resistance to multiple drugs and possess genes that may date back to Earth's earliest biosphere. If these genes are transferred to global pathogens, it could trigger a public health nightmare. As glaciers adjacent to Thwaites break apart, the meltdown accelerates. Sea levels rise another 2.5 meters. Boston disappears. So does New York. Entire coastlines vanish. But strangely, sea levels around Antarctica begin to drop. Why? Because the Antarctic ice sheet is so massive, it exerts its own gravitational pull, lifting nearby ocean water. Once the ice vanishes, that gravitational grip disappears and the sea recedes locally. Meanwhile, seawater infiltrates freshwater aquifers around the world. Crops are ruined, drinking water becomes scarce, and people start moving. These disruptions to the hydrological cycle may alter rainfall patterns across entire continents, leading to drought in some areas and megafloods in others. Tens of millions are forced to flee their homes. Canada, Russia, and Alaska become climate refugee hotspots. Meanwhile, once rich coastal cities turn into soggy ruins. The ocean isn't done. The melting ice floods Earth's natural conveyor belt, the thermohaline circulation that moves warm and cold water across the globe. Fresh meltwater disrupts this balance. Normally, salty cold water sinks and pushes warm water upward, but fresh water is lighter. It floats, and the conveyor belt jams. The result? Ocean heat gets trapped. Marine life starts dying off, especially plankton, the microscopic algae that form the foundation of the ocean food chain. Without plankton, oceanic oxygen levels could plummet, leading to mass marine die-offs, a phenomenon already being observed in some low-oxygen dead zones. Now, sea levels have risen over 70 meters. 3 billion people, 40% of the world's population, live near coastlines. Most are now dead or homeless. Some make it to higher ground or the tops of buildings, hoping for helicopters that may never arrive. Major cities vanish. London, Paris, Tokyo, Jakarta, Rio de Janeiro. The US loses Florida, Louisiana, half of California. What remains? Inland cities like Denver or Minneapolis. Now priceless real estate. Bangladesh is underwater. Entire nations gone. Global panic ensues. Economic markets crash. Communication systems fail. Still not over. Melting ice exposes permafrost, soil frozen for tens of thousands of years. As it thaws, it releases ancient carbon dioxide and methane. These are supercharged greenhouse gases. One molecule of methane can trap 80 times more heat than CO2 over a 20-year span. Temperatures spike by 5 to 10 degrees Celsius. Earth becomes a planetary microwave. And there's more. In the permafrost, viruses, prehistoric, possibly unstoppable. The next global pandemic could come from the melted Arctic. The heat also supercharges fungi and bacteria that feast on decomposing matter, releasing even more CO2. It's a self-fueling furnace. And if methane clathrates trapped beneath the sea floor begin to release, we could enter a runaway greenhouse state, much like what happened on Venus. As Antarctica's ice retreats completely, Earth reveals some of its oldest secrets. A canyon deeper than the Grand Canyon, over 3.5 kilometers below sea level, stretching from the interior to the coast. And Lake Vostok, a vast freshwater lake sealed beneath ice for over 15 million years. You could picnic there, if you survive, but think twice before taking a dip. Microbes in those waters have evolved in isolation. Who knows what they do to your body? And there's more. The exposure of ancient sediments may reshape our understanding of Earth's climate history, and even reveal fossilized organisms that once lived when Antarctica was a temperate rainforest. What comes next is a mystery, but with a changing climate and new land exposed, evolution may begin again. Extremophile microbes, survivors of ancient icy environments, could give rise to completely new ecosystems. Over thousands of years, these organisms may evolve into complex life forms uniquely adapted to high radiation, high salinity, and extreme pH. A new biosphere may emerge, one based on anaerobic respiration, using chemicals from volcanic vents rather than sunlight. And if humanity survives, future scientists may study these post-melt ecosystems, not to save the past, but to understand the next chapter of life on Earth. So let's recap what happens when all of Antarctica melts. 3 billion dead or displaced coastal cities, wiped out freshwater aquifers, contaminated ancient bacteria and viruses, reawakened ocean currents, collapsed mass extinction in marine life, climate wars and refugee crises. Earth becomes hotter, wetter, and wilder. Possible tipping point toward runaway greenhouse effect. Evolution of entirely new ecosystems and life forms. If you're fascinated by the future of our planet and humanity's survival, don't forget to subscribe to Universe and Sci-Fi. Leave a comment below. Would you rather travel back to the ancient Earth or fast forward to witness the death of the universe? And stay curious, because the next journey could take us even farther than time itself.